The NFL Draft kicks off on Thursday, April 26th in Dallas, Texas, and it could be a banner year for the Mountain West. Hi, I'm Jesse Kurtz in the Mountain West Network studio, where we're joined by a very special guest, the head football coach of the Air Force Falcons, Troy Calhoun, who spent 4 years in the NFL with the Denver Broncos and the Houston Texans, spent many of April's in the NFL Draft war rooms evaluating players for the next level. Now in his 12th season at the Air Force Academy, who better to provide perspective on both sides, the college side and the NFL side, than our own Troy Calhoun. Appreciate you making the time for us.
You bet, Jesse. An honor to be here and to be a part of what really is an extraordinary process when it comes to the draft preparation and then certainly the phenomenal opportunities that come about for each of these young men.
Well, we talk about that banner year. The Mountain West, if you believe some of the projections, could have as many as 5 guys drafted in the first 2 days of the NFL Draft. Funny enough, you coached against all 5 of them last year, and the big man on campus up in Laramie, Wyoming, of course, Josh Allen, probably going to be the first Mountain West player off the board. He's been talked about as the #1 overall pick, maybe to the Cleveland Browns. You saw him a couple of times. What makes him a top-level NFL quarterback prospect?
You know, you look, first of all, they won a lot of football games, especially the last 2 years. They're Mountain Division champions. I think anytime you're looking at a quarterback, you want a guy that's been a part of quite a bit of success, which certainly Josh has. You know, the other part is the size. And anytime you got a guy that's 6'5", nearly 235 pounds, incredible arm talent, just in terms of the strength, the delivery, the ball being able to get down the field, and very, very impressive measurables, which are relevant, I think, especially in draft prep rooms. And, you know, you got a guy with over 10-inch hands, the strength, the movement, the number of carries that he had. It shows you a guy that's willing to take some hits. You think back to those key third down conversions in which he carried the football, and also in certain 4-minute situations and near the goal line too. You know, a guy that it'll be fun to see where he ends up falling, just because there's probably not a more talented quarterback that's in the draft.
Now, the Mountain West did have a #1 overall quarterback go out of the University of Utah, Alex Smith, back in 2005. All right, on the other side of the football, Layton Vander Ash is a guy that has shot up draft boards, and just a great story. Projected as a first-round pick, one of 22 players that's been invited to Dallas to attend the draft in person. Former walk-on from a town of 406 people, played 8-man football, and he has really impressed the scouts, especially off the NFL Combine. How remarkable is this story that a guy from 8-man football is going to be a first-round NFL draft pick?
It's awesome. It's America, right? You know, the American dream, I guess. And, you know, you look at it, another guy, great size, 6'4", 256 pounds at the Combine. You know, you go through the various measurables that he had, 34-inch arms, you know, good-sized hands, a guy that ran a 4.65 40. And then certainly as a football player, how productive he was here in this most recent season. And, you know, a guy that has very good ball skills, you know, the pass breakups, the interceptions, the tackles behind the line of scrimmage. And, you know, there might be a little bit of concern just how much football he really has played, yet at the same time, golly, to be that productive with that kind of size, that kind of movement, and a guy that plays with such passion. And a guy that's been a winner his whole life. He was in high school as a football and a basketball player, a guy that was a 29-11 guy with points and boards in basketball in high school. The upside is enormous, and a guy that's an every down linebacker even with that kind of size.
If Allen and Vander Ash do go in the first round, it'll be the first time the Mountain West has had 2 first-round picks since 2012 when Shea McClellan and Doug Martin both went in the first round. Moving back to the offensive side of the ball, and guys that don't get a lot of publicity but certainly are big in the production of an offense, the offensive lineman Austin Corbin, another walk-on that now has worked himself into being an NFL prospect. He's an offensive lineman at Nevada. Praised for his pass protection and versatility. He's played all over on the offensive line.
You know, he has, Jesse. I'll say this. I remember we were getting ready to play. You could just tell this guy was extremely alert. His football awareness, being able to see potential creepers, you know, that maybe are tipped that a blitz is coming. You mentioned the versatility to being able to play a good number of positions. Isn't going to completely wow you with gigantic numbers, you know, in terms of combine numbers or anything like that. But based upon film, a really, really skilled football player, and inevitably somebody's going to take this guy just because there's a trust factor and dependability, which is extremely relevant, especially in the offensive line.
It has drawn a lot of comparisons to Joel Bitonio, who was a second-round pick out of the University of Nevada as well. Ironically, the guy that he replaced on the Wolfpack offensive line. The guy that tore this league apart for a number of years for many different reasons, Rashad Penny. He's a three-time Special Teams Player of the Year. He's the reigning Offensive Player of the Year, a versatile guy at San Diego State. He was electric on the football field. His versatility probably adds to his value when it comes to the NFL, does it not?
Oh, no question. You know, you look at the kickoff returns, to average over 30 yards a return, and to see some of those returns that occurred against really dynamic teams. You know, the one against Arizona State, certainly the way that he played the following week against Stanford as a tailback, and the way he can handle volume. You know, at 220 pounds, plays with very, very good pad level. The number of carries, the number of yards down the stretch of games, but certainly the stretch of the season. I think he rushed for over 200 yards in each of his final games there at five games there at San Diego State, and the guy that ended up rushing for over 2,200 yards is here this most recent year.
Yeah, led the nation, and he's going to have fresh legs going to the NFL because he sat behind Donnell Pumphrey, carried the ball only 613 times in his college career, so we'll see if that freshness helps him when he gets to the NFL. All right, on the wide receiver side of things, Michael Gallup out of Colorado State University, 176 receptions, 2,690 yards in 2 seasons in Fort Collins. There's some that consider this guy the best wide receiver in this draft class. He was sensational for 2 years in Fort Collins.
You know, he was. I mean, just massive, massive production. And, you know, he doesn't necessarily have great measurables. You know, he's 6'1", 205 pounds. Not real long, plays with pretty good power, but in and out of breaks, very good ball skills, and a great player. You know, just tremendous. You watch at his, I think more than anything else, just the separation. He's able to get on routes and what he's able to do instantly, and he plays faster than maybe what a 40 time is, which I think is much, much more important rather than only based upon a stopwatch.
He's able to create that separation both with speed and his physicality. He's been great in the Mountain West. We all know, and you being in the NFL, that NFL teams aren't necessarily built on those first, second, or even third-round draft picks. It's the guys that you find later that you build the core team around, and you got to find those sleepers. Who's a few guys in the Mountain West that you've seen that maybe aren't going to grab the headlines, but certainly are going to be productive NFL players? It'll get drafted here this year.
Yeah, I think Cedric Wilson for sure. You know, is it a 4th round? Is it a 5th round? Where that may be. I mean, anytime you have pedigree involved. His father played in the NFL for a good number of years. That's a contributing factor. You know, at 6'3", 188 pounds, enormous production. Another guy is a returner, is a punt returner. I think he had had a couple of long punt returns, especially his junior year. His top end speed, his versatility. A guy that played at 3 different spots. You know, he was inside the number 3, he was in the slot, he was an outside receiver, and he even has played in his background a little bit of quarterback too. So I think he's certainly a guy that's going to be drafted. You look Cameron Kelly, they're from San Diego State. The number of positions that he's played, that cat or warrior position, in addition to being a safety and a corner, with his size at 6'2", over 200 pounds, probably projects as a safety down the road. You know, I think another guy that's going to be a sleeper that will be picked would be Nick Bodden. And, you know, I think anytime you have a legitimate fullback, which he is, there's still a value that's there, and there may only be, say, 12 teams or so that really would carry a true fullback on the roster, but those 12 are looking for somebody that's a very strong blocker, somebody that truly has proven it on film, and you know, is one of those guys that'll be a 6th or a 7th round pick, maybe later, yet will stick with the team because they picked him because they knew exactly what his role was going to be.
Well, and Bodden received all kinds of praise coming off of the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama, which obviously helps in front of those NFL scouts. Well, it's always fun to see Mountain West players realize their dreams of becoming an NFL player. Appreciate your insight on who might be the guys that really make an impact in the NFL, Coach.
You bet. Thank you, Jesse.
That's Coach Troy Calhoun of the Air Force Falcons. By the way, the NFL Draft, again, kicks off on Thursday, April 26th in Dallas, Texas. This feature has been brought to you by Mountain America Credit Union, the official credit union of the Mountain West. For Troy Calhoun, I'm Jesse Kurtz. Thanks for watching this presentation of the Mountain West Network.